Hey guys, just a reminder, this is not official medical advice. For such, please seek an appointment with a licensed medical provider. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dive Into Diet. I'm with nutrition coach Lucas Schmidt. Lucas, what's going on, man?
Well, ready to talk more about food again. Extra food this time.
You know,
Extra food.
I think, we've talked a little bit about some of your goals, and you mentioned before we hit record here that you're in kind of a bulking phase.
hmm
Can you tell me why? Like, what's kind of the thought process here?
Well, truth be told, weight loss is all the rage these days, and I'm against culture. I'm gonna gain weight. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to minimize that. No, that's a serious weight loss goal, but then that's fine. No, actually, I know this is gonna be people are gonna roll their eyes and oh, woe is you. I have a hard time gaining weight. Um, and on one level, that sounds great. It is great for the most part, to be honest. But if you're ever trying to build any kind of muscular physique, it's really challenging if you're not predisposed to gaining weight.
Mm,
Now, I'll definitely take it. I wouldn't trade my situation for someone who gains weight easily just because it's probably that much harder when you get the weight you want to like stay there or not keep going and things like that. So I definitely wouldn't trade my position with anybody else's. I like how I'm made, but I have actually never attempted believe it or not, a formalized bulk before in my whole life. I've never tried it.
and can
I've
you
tried to eat a little more intuitively, but then you got to measure this stuff. I mean, a measured bulk. I weigh my food or I track my food. I have a certain number of calories and a certain number of protein grams that I aim for, and I'm very diligent about it. I've never actually done that for any length of time before, so I'm trying one officially. So because I've exercised for a long time at this point in my life, consistently some form of exercise. But as far as like strength training and specifically hypertrophy, which is muscle growth, I haven't been at it as long. I don't know. I've probably been at that specifically for 5 years, maybe.
mm,
And I've strength trained before that, long before that, calisthenics, some weightlifting, but never specifically like, no, no, I want to grow in muscular size and look a certain way, that kind of thing. I've never really formally done that. So it's always just been make sure I'm exercising, make sure I'm maintaining some level of strength, make sure I can do X, Y, or Z. So this will be my first foray into actual structured. Now, I've known how to do it for a long time. But frankly, I've never set out to do it for a couple of reasons. One, I'm usually fairly lean and I like to look lean and I like to be lean even if I'm like skinny looking. I don't mind that. I like to be lightweight. um, so there's like a slight fear of like I don't want to get fat. I don't want to be carrying belly fat and all that business. That's one reason I haven't done it. Another reason is just it's just never been that important to me. So um,
can you define what a bulk is? Is there a certain
mhm.
amount of weight that
Yeah, so
equals a bulk?
when I say bulk, I mean the formal sense of it's a phase in specifically muscle hypertrophy. So hypertrophy is a size focus style of training. You're training to grow muscle to a certain size. That doesn't mean I'm not interested in being a titan. I don't want to be gigantic, okay? I just want to be a little bigger than I am.
Mm,
And there's a couple of reasons people do that. Usually it's aesthetic. Like, how do I look? And that's what my goal is. I mean, there's health benefits, of course. That's all tied together. Any sort of training is generally got health as a side benefit. Uh, Hypertrophy is slightly different from strength training. Okay. If your true goal is strength, okay, strength is a measure of how much weight you can move, how much force you can exert. Okay. And you might think, well, isn't it all the same? Bigger muscle, more strength? Not necessarily. No. There are different methods to achieve those ends. Now, both of those are usually intertwined together at some phase of your training. But if the end goal is strength, that means ultimately you are pushing your maxes constantly,
mm.
right? With some rest phases built in if you're smart. But your end goal is you don't really care as much how you look. It's more of how many plates can I put on this bar?
Mm.
Okay. Those guys look a lot different from guys whose goal is how do I look pushing this bar? For example, have you ever looked at a strongman competition, like the real strong, like where they do crazy stuff? Those guys do not look like bodybuilders.
No, they're just
They look,
massive.
yeah, they look strong. They're strong, uh, but they do not look like bodybuilders. If you've looked at a bodybuilding competition, those guys look crazy strong, but they also, you can see every single muscle they have pretty much. That's exterior, that is. But those guys cannot generally push close to the same weight that a strongman can. So the training modality is different for those two things. I'm in a visual training hypertrophy. The advantage of hypertrophy training is one, you look nice if you succeed. That's if you succeed. Two, the risk injury rate is lower because with strength training you do have to flirt with your maximum. And initially you're not at a high risk of anything, but the when you load up a bench press and you're putting 3 plates on each side of that bar, the risk of injury goes up the more
Sure.
weight you have above your face. People tear pecs, they tear biceps, all this stuff. I'm not discouraging people from pursuing that. You can do it safely. You just have to follow careful criteria. But hypertrophy training is usually a combination of pushing your weight a good amount or increasing your rep numbers till you burn. Like there's a burn that you're chasing. My current training modality for that is a mixture of the two. So I have a low rep, higher weight week. Everything is lower rep, but higher weight. Not like max weight, because I'm not doing strength. I'm not trying to like increase my 1 rep max or anything crazy like that. We're talking 8 to 10 rep range, which is a lower rep range, higher weight. Okay.
But
And then on
it's
the
still not like 2 to 3 or 1 to 2.
no, I'm not doing no 3 rep sets
Yeah.
or 1 rep sets. No, I'm not interested in that. And then the alternate week, and that's 4 days. So my low rep, high weight weeks are 4 days of training. Upper, lower, upper, lower. I have a rest day in between. So upper, lower, rest, upper, lower. Okay.
Okay.
Then the other week is 5 days. Higher reps, medium intensity, 3 uppers, and 2 lowers. So that's my split and I alternate.
How many exercises are you doing with those reps? 6 or 7?
So it depends on the workout. I've pre-written all my workouts from now through the end of the year. so it's easy. It's now I just go, what's up for today? Okay. And what I did was I chose the muscles that I want to grow the most aesthetically, and those are priority. And when I prioritize a muscle group, it needs to get around 15 to 20 sets per week.
Okay. So if you're doing 2 days of one muscle group, that's, 7, 8 exercises.
Yeah. Well, or like a number of sets and reps. So you don't have to do that many different exercises. It could be like 3 sets of side delt raises one day. That's 3 sets right there in one exercise. And as long as they get hit by the end of the week 15 to 20 times, in a challenging, they have to be challenged every set. So I have a hierarchy, and the way I wrote my workouts was, here's my hierarchy, here's the muscles that need the most work, and that's based on a couple factors. One factor is how quickly do these muscles recover. The faster the muscle recovers, the more you kind of can hit it to grow it more. Shoulders recover really quickly in most people.
Is that like individual or is that
Yeah,
universal
it's
shoulders?
individual muscles. Oh, no, it's fairly universal. Shoulders recover fairly quickly. Biceps recover pretty quickly. Large muscles don't recover as quickly, usually. So you don't have to hit them as often. But when you hit them, you got to hit them a lot. So it's sort of in a session. This isn't 100% universal. This is just like shoulders. I've noticed they recover fast. And you can afford to just hit them and hit them and hit them. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The shoulder is a junction point in your body. A lot of things need to be done with the shoulder, so they got to be able to recover quick. So you can afford to hit them harder. And so Then I have a mid-tier hierarchy, like muscles that, if they grow some, that's great. Mostly maintain a little growth. And then I have a lower tier, like let's just hit these once or twice a week for 6 sets at most to
Okay.
just keep them stimulated. My calf muscles are in that category.
Okay.
you know.
How many, like, when you talk about muscle groups, like, I don't know, because I come from, I've always trained more for like sport performance.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of my training has been, um, it's just built around that. So when you say muscle groups, like how many different ones are there? You got chest, back, legs. Um,
Yeah, it depends on how you split it. For hypertrophy, you could go individual muscle at a time. Like guys who train for hypertrophy for aesthetic will grow an isolated muscle. So you got chest, biceps, triceps, front delts, side delts, rear delts, rhomboids, erector spinae, lats, upper traps, lower traps, quadriceps, glutes,
how do you do
hamstrings,
all that?
calves.
Like, how do you fit
You
all
don't
that in?
have to isolate them all. So if you want to be efficient, you can choose large, um, complex muscle movement groups like overhead press will train the side delts, the front delts, the triceps all at once.
Okay.
So you're hitting them all, and you can count that for all three. A chest press trains the triceps and the chest and the front delts. An incline chest press, where you're sitting on a bench but you lean back a little bit and press, hits the front delts and the upper chest pretty well. And like a pull up, works the biceps and the lats and the rhomboids. So if you do large muscle movements or complex muscle movements, you're usually hitting a little of everything in a certain area.
Okay.
A lot of people do what's called a push pull. So they do pushing muscles and pulling muscles and all of that. I don't do that right now, but that's a split people like. It
Yeah.
isn't as hard as it sounds because if you went by individual, like side delt only, rear delt only, chest only, have to work out an enormous amount in
You'd
order
have
to
to work
isolate
out
them
twice a
all.
day.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I am trying to be methodical this time, but I am not that methodical. And I wouldn't call myself an advanced lifter by any means. I have knowledge of advanced lifting, but that doesn't mean my body is an advanced lifting body. I've not been doing it long enough. I haven't developed the. I wouldn't say I've developed the baseline strength and musculature to call myself an advanced lifter. Not even close. I would say I'm an intermediate lifter just because I have a higher baseline knowledge because I have to. I have to research it for health, but I'm not an advanced lifter. So
This might be a dumb question. Are it seems like Olympic lifts don't match this type of training. Are you doing any
no,
Olympic lift?
Olympic lifts I think are more function, so they're
Okay.
strength related. They're
Okay.
performative.
Okay.
Your goal is I gotta clean and press X amount of pounds in X amount of attempts to beat X record. That's it.
Do you think the way you're training, again, you're very transparent. This is more aesthetic. You're going after a
Hmm.
certain look.
Yeah.
Um, is functional training, is it more healthy to do functional training, or because I'm imagining that just working out and exercising and building muscles, even if it's for aesthetic, is still healthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say either one is healthier.
Really?
It's all no, not necessarily. I don't deal in absolutes, but it all just depends on what's your long-term goal here. If the goal is just to maintain general health, my advice to somebody who doesn't want to spend a ton of time in the gym would be perform strictly for efficiency's sake. This is strictly for time efficiency. You don't want to dedicate enormous amounts of energy. You just want to maintain health, strength, function, carry on in your normal life and not worry about it when you're old. I do 3 days a week total body workouts spread out. That's legs and arms, an upper, all in one workout. A total body split 3 days a week. That's what I would do.
Okay. If you want to just
Um,
maintain health, I want to be
or
strong,
if you're a beginner and you don't know what you're doing in the gym,
do a
just
little everything.
just do 3 workouts like that, little everything in every workout. You, the nice thing about being a beginner is you gain muscle really fast if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
You'll see changes in like 3 months that you won't see any other time. And so yeah, that's what I would recommend. I don't know. I think training for aesthetic is just as healthy though.
Interesting.
And here's the thing again, training for pure strength. Strength is the goal. Maximal strength. Again, that means you have to test limits. And when we test limits with our muscles, sometimes we underestimate the challenge that we're in for, and we get hurt and we
Yeah.
tear something, and then we're set back, and that affects training for a long time. A muscle tear is like
Awful.
a year recovery at least, if ever. So I'm not saying it's unhealthy. It's just it can be. Okay.
Well,
Hypertrophy training, people still get hurt because they do dumb stuff. But generally, I would say hypertrophy training is a lot safer.
one thing I will ask, because I know your background, you're super athletic. Is this gonna? Do you think you're gonna lose athleticism by doing this type of training?
No,
Because I've seen
no, I
you,
don't.
I've seen you do single leg squats, butt to heel with no
Oh yeah.
problem. Like
No, I don't think so. I still maintain that. So when I train with weights, for example, I still take myself to full range of motion if I can. So I don't lose that.
okay,
So like one of the exercises I do for hamstrings, for example, is a stiff leg Romanian deadlift. I don't do standard deadlifts right now because I have injured my back twice.
oh wow,
Now, it's probably bad technique. It's my fault. But there's something going on where I am not paying attention well enough, or there's something in, I don't know if it's the length that my torso is very long. I have a very long torso. I don't know if the particular angle I'm using or those forces just aren't great for my mechanics. I'm going to say it's user error. It's my fault. Um, but I'm not 100% sure why. So I follow all the cues. I've researched all the cues. I've spoken to physical therapists there, and they were very kind. We're like, you got to grip the floor with your toes. You got to slightly turn them out. You got to keep your arms locked out so you don't engage the biceps. And I do all the things, and I've done that. I go down the checklist, but all it takes is one rep where you're like not quite paying attention.
yeah,
And I have a bad attention span. So right now, I may pick them back up eventually, but right now they're not worth it to me. So I've swapped them out for what's called a stiff-legged Romanian deadlift, and I use dumbbells, and I use wedges to slightly extra extend my hamstrings, so they're in a deeper stretch. And I lighten up the weight a little bit, go for a slightly higher rep, but I keep the hamstrings locked out, my back flat, and I do a lot of those. And that maintains a really high range of motion for my hamstrings because you're training with them straight with weight. So it's like touching your toes, but you have to lift 100 pounds out of the touch. Right now I do around 100 pounds, 50 pounds in each hand on the dumbbell. So um, I'm not worried about losing athleticism. That's a long answer, but no. Hypertrophy doesn't mean a loss of athletic. It just depends on your goal. It's called you want to be specific, training specificity. What am I aiming to do? Like, what do I want? And as long as the only area where hypertrophy training and size growth will be bad for your health is if you use steroids to get there.
sure,
Because that I will say, aesthetic training, yeah, I would say that is the primary culprit category of weightlifting where people use performance enhancers. Because all the other ones, there's like a pride issue. It's like, well, if I use steroids, my strength gains aren't my gains. And of course, it's also illegal in competition.
right.
But it's not the same. Whereas with size, you don't really care. Like, you don't really care how you got it. A lot of people don't care how they got it. They just want it. So they're willing to use steroids. And the good ones are open and honest about it. I have no intention. Now, I've used peptides before. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah. Are
Depends on
you? Is there any? So like, I think on this podcast we'll track kind of with where you're at, and
Mhm.
do you want to share any weight goals or
Oh yeah, I'll give you. I'll give you a rundown of my numbers.
Okay.
So my current goal is to be around 180 to 185 pounds.
Goals to get to 180 to 185?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I weighed today on our InBody, I am 179 pounds.
Okay, so you're just talking about a 6-pound gain.
Well, I've been in a bulk phase for now about a month and a half.
Okay, what were
And
you
I
at when you started?
started at around 170 to 172.
So you've already gained 7, 8 pounds?
Yeah, well, some of that's going to be fat. So this is the thing I want to explain to people. The reason we're talking about this, and I'm using myself as an example, is a good bulk, in my opinion, and based on some of the literature, is not a fast one. Not like a breakneck speed. Like, believe it or not, you can gain a lot of weight in 1 week if you want to. The faster, like, if you rapidly bulk by eating crap and like eating 2,000 calories over maintenance, which is insane. Yeah, you'll gain a lot of weight fast, but it'll mostly be fat because muscle growth is slow. But if you, my target, my current calorie surplus, you have to be in a calorie surplus to gain weight generally, is 350 calories over what I need.
How'd you calculate the 350?
That's just sort of the general estimate for slow, moderate bulking.
And I'll remind everybody, we did an episode with Lucas on TDEE,
Mm-hmm.
which is how you calculate, your total amount of, how much energy you're expending for which helps you calculate how much calories you need to
Right.
take in.
So I got a base metabolic rate from our in-body, which is an estimate, and then I calculated TDEE from that, and then I add 350 to that, and then I eat that.
Okay.
I do track. I use an app called LifeSum. There's a free option. There's always paid parts of it, but I don't need them. It has a barcode scanner, or you can just manually enter stuff. I have a gram scale at home because in order to calculate stuff in food, you gotta weigh some of it if it's not labeled. So I've been doing that. I'll aim for 350 to 400 calories over my baseline needs every single day. And the only other thing that I really specifically track is grams of protein. I'm not as particular about carbs or fats right now. I aim for 173 to 207 grams of protein a day.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And I got that from, that's 1 gram to 1.2 grams per pound I weigh. So
I guess that's about right.
Yeah, that's how much I'm getting. And my primary sources of food are protein shakes, egg protein powder, Greek yogurt, eggs and egg whites, beef, chicken, pasta, cereal, nuts, olive oil, sourdough bread, butter, fruits, and vegetables. I'll eat oatmeal as well. I'm not normally a grain guy, but bulking is fun in that reason. I sometimes, like, I'll get to the end of the day and I'm like, my tracker's like, I kid you not, I've gotten to the end of my day and it says you still need to eat 1,600 calories because it was a busy day. I'm like, oh, okay, so what can I do? So I have a few foods that I really like. So on those days, cook up a pound of ground beef, which is around 999 calories. And that's 80%, 80-20 lean. I'll eat a pound of ground beef and I'll cook it with some vegetables, which doesn't really add anything, but it's flavor. And then for dessert, I have a half a cup of steel cut oats with cinnamon. And then if I'm still short, which I kind of am there, I'll add some olive oil to the beef or whatever. And if I'm really behind, I'll make some pasta and eat that with the beef. So, and I can do it. I can do it.
Is it uncomfortable?
No.
Okay.
No, not now. Not now that I'm used to it. I do start I start fasted in the morning, not because I want to be in a fast, just because I'm not hungry. But now I get up and I drink 40 grams of protein in a shake first thing.
Hey, okay.
So it makes it a lot easier. So
go ahead and get the 40 grams of your 170.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's my nutrition. I don't eat a lot of junk food though. This is the problem with bulking. People think, oh yeah, I gotta eat a lot of food. Listen, it's easy. A dirty bulk, like I could get 3,100 calories in 3 hours if I had to with junk food. I mean, I could do it in probably 30 minutes, actually, if you gave me some donuts. Like, I could, easy. But I'm not getting any protein out of that, and I'm not going to meet my needs. So, if you want a clean bulk, I'm mostly clean bulking, every now and then it's nice to be able to eat a little bit of like a treat. Like, today at work, somebody had gluten-free banana bread. And I was like, yeah. I calculated it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to eat this. I'm eating a slice of this. Just puts me ahead for the evening. But But yeah, that's the plan. So when I get to the cut phase, um, I'll go to 500 calorie deficit.
So you're going to combine this with a cut.
Oh yeah, any good bulk has a cut, or at least a return to maybe a return to maintenance. But yeah, the whole point of a bulk, a good like a proper, in my opinion, for bodybuilding is you gain yourself some excess calories so your body feels like it has more permission to grow some more muscle. Okay, you anticipate a weight gain. My weight gain estimate was 10 to 15 pounds total, and then out of that, I hope to garner 3 to 4 pounds of muscle.
Okay.
The rest
Okay.
will be fat.
Did
Now,
you see anything?
and then the point of a cut is you trim off the fat and you still lift and you still maintain your protein amount, so that what's left over is the muscle you gained, and then you have a visual shift. Muscle growth, if you're going to do bulking and cutting, looks like this. You have to stair step. People are usually afraid of a bulk. They're like, I don't want to get fat. I'm like, I totally get it, but you'll eventually hit a wall of muscle growth where you're going to need to eat in excess to bump up.
Mm.
So, no, but the thing to consider is, and we'll talk more about a cut on another episode, the thing to consider about that cut is you're not just going 500 calorie deficit from your baseline. You've been in a 350 calorie surplus above baseline. So really you're going to have a sudden difference of 850 calories. You're like, and if you do it fast, especially like if you do night and day, like today is the end of bulking, tomorrow is the start of cutting, you're going to have a sudden shift of 850 calories. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying that's something to mentally prepare for. Is
that hard?
I have no idea. I've never done a proper bulk.
It sounds
I
hard to
don't
me.
think I don't think it's going to be that hard for me because, well, I don't know, but I have a plan. My plan is to eat the same amount of material physically that I'm eating in the bulk, but it'll just be low calorie material. So physically it'll feel like I'm eating almost the same number of calories, but I'm not. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So like I'll go from 80-20 beef to 90 or 95% lean beef. It's going to feel like roughly the same amount of material. It's just more protein than fat. So like that'll feel the same. That's a little thing. A big thing would be like instead of oatmeal, I would eat like, I don't know, a cabbage salad. Right? Cabbage has like virtually no calories in it. But it's like bulky and it's like a lot. And I can eat that with like lemon and vinegar and delicious stuff on it, some herbs, and it's filling, it's full of water. So in the moment, I'm gonna be like, boy, I'm eating a lot of food here, but it's like 10 calories. And then, so that's my plan.
It's
My plan
interesting.
is just trick myself. My stomach will think I'm eating a lot, but really I won't be. So,
Um,
I'll report in. I'll report back.
did you learn anything as far as like in your InBody today, like how much muscle you've already gained, how much fat you've gained? Is it kind of where you
Yeah,
thought you would be?
yeah, yeah. The the muscle, I have gained some muscle, probably a pound and a half.
Okay.
But in body is an estimate, there's like a margin of error there. The true test for me will be visual. So when I get into the cut phase, I want to know, I know what I looked like before I started the whole process. So I'll look in the mirror and be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know. And the irony, it's not ironic, but it does make you look leaner than you did before. So like a really skinny person who bulks then cuts, it's going to look like way more buff and lean than they did prior, because if they do it right, because they have more muscle tissue. More muscle tissue means more definition and deeper crevices.
Yep.
Deeper lines. I don't want to say crevice. That's the wrong lines.
Lines.
Deeper
Uh,
crevice is not good. Well, if you have big glutes, you got a deeper crevice. So in theory, I mean, technically, we're going to be technical about it. And there's a crevice between the chest muscles too, the pecs.
Yeah.
So, not to get inappropriate, but
What are you excited? Like, what's your mentality? Like,
yeah, I can tell I've gained some fat, but it's not bad. It's not
okay.
like, ugh, I mean, I look in the mirror, and I know a lot of people don't like doing that. If you can just, I don't weigh a lot. I weigh once a week or something, and that's probably could be improved. But there's a visual. I'm more in. I weigh enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm following my numbers. I'm following my schedule, and I think I underate one day because I traveled or something, and I just I couldn't force feed, you know.
Has the adjustment to the food been more difficult or the adjustment to the different workouts?
Oh, the food probably, but it's not. I don't want to downplay it because it depends on the person. It's not been that difficult for me. There's just a few days where I'm like, golly, I still have to eat this food.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, it's a lot of food, especially when you're eating healthy food. Healthy food is generally kind of filling, and it's lower calorie usually. um, Workouts, no. The long, well, that first long week, because my normal schedule's 4 days a week, and I've added a fifth day for upper body because I just want to better shoulders. Dang it. Um, it's tiring, but I like how I feel when I exercise, so it's not been that bad. I think the hardest week will be first cut week when I'm still doing the same level of exercise, but minus 850 calories.
Is there a moment you're going to decide to cut, or is there like a certain number, like once you reach the 180, 185 number?
Yeah, so I tried to give myself a ballpark of around 3.5 months to bulk.
Okay.
It also coincides, I will say disclosure, and this is not a recommendation for anybody else before I say this. This is totally experimental. I am taking MK677, which Robin has talked about before. I am taking what's called a microdose, though. I'm not taking the standard therapeutic dose. The standard therapeutic dose is 25 milligrams. I'm taking 12.5,
Okay.
which is really low. Just to see, I've never had it before. You just take a pill every night. It's just supplemental before bed, just to see if it helps. So I'm doing that. And once that runs out, depending on whichever comes first, I'm gonna be like, well, it's time. But if I hit 180 to 185 pretty soon, I'm hoping within a week to cross 180. I'll look at how I look and think, well, if I cut down, will I look different? And from there, we'll see.
That makes sense. You don't want to cut too soon because you might not have gotten the
Yeah,
gains that
I
you
don't
want.
want just an inch up, I want it
Yeah.
to be fairly noticeable that I did it.
Yeah.
And like I said, weight gain for me is traditionally very slow.
Yeah.
I will say on my in-body scan, I know I'm gaining weight because my visceral fat is now at 4, which is still fine. It's
Well, were
fine.
you like 2 before?
Yeah, yeah. 2 to 4, doubled. I've doubled my visceral fat. But visually, like on my abdomen, I can tell I'm a little less defined, but it's not like, again, it doesn't bother me. I expect it. Just to let people know, though, if they're considering a bulk, I don't advise a person bulk beyond 10 to 15 pounds at a time. So the more overweight with fat you get beyond a certain point, the more likelihood you have of loose skin when you lose the weight. So you don't want to bulk so much that you look like very round and jiggly, because you do run the risk of, when you do cut, having leftover skin that's challenging to eliminate.
Sure. Sure.
So a lot of bodybuilders struggle with that, where one of my favorite ones, in fact, talks about it openly. When he was younger, he trained, lived in a bulk phase for like 2 years, and he got really fat, really strong, and really buff, but really fat the whole time. And in order to achieve the aesthetic he wanted, ended up having to have skin removal surgery,
Mm.
and we don't want that. That's not good news. That's for the birds. And that surgery is terrible. That surgery is awful. I've heard, or I've seen. I look at it based on his account. Skin removal surgery can be really rough. It just depends on the person. But all of that's a tangent. I'm not going to do that. So I had set a goal. Okay, 10 to 15 pounds. Hopefully 3 of it's muscle. 3 pounds of muscle is a good amount. Like, it's more than people think.
I think it's
And for a
phenomenal.
very skinny guy like me who can't build muscle to save his life, 3 pounds is awesome. I'd be grateful for 3 pounds. Be grateful for 1.5.
Well,
Hopefully it's 3 to 4. So
man, I tell you what, I'm so pumped for you, and I'm excited to kind of document this on Dive Into
pumped.
Diet.
Nice choice of word. Pumped.
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 Well, Lucas, man, is there anything else you want to cover on this pod around bulking here? We're gonna, of course, guys, you're gonna be interested in where Lucas is at, so we will be documenting this.
Hmm.
Any other things you want to leave the listeners with?
If you're older than me, I'm 35. If you're older and you have any kind of like history of metabolic disease like diabetes or high blood sugar, stuff like that, if you're wanting to try a bulk, I would, you know, get some blood work done prior, or at least consult your physician just to make sure, hey, I'm going to be eating excess for a little bit. Is that going to be bad for me, or safe for me, unsafe for me? I'm of the age and body composition where it's safe to do. Um, that's just something to consider. You don't want to just jump into something like that willy nilly. Outside of that, though, 10 to 15 pounds, 350 calories is considered sort of the standard over for steady gain.
Stair
Nah,
stepping.
to be continued though. I'd be happy to do one on cutting. So
I love it.
cutting weight, not anything else.
Well, Lucas, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you.
And this is this a pod? Are we calling it a pod?
I think so.
It's
I
a
hope
pod.
so. It might be two. This is like 30 minutes. Sorry, everybody. I'm long-winded.
Guys, thank y'all for hanging out with us today on this episode of Dive Into Diet. Lucas, I'll see you soon, brother.
See ya.
Don't go away.